Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Squared Triangle. I'm, of course, Decavolty, joined by SharkyHat and X.
Hello.
Hello.
We are going to be going on about Clash at the Castle Scotland. Another in the long line of pay-per-views that are set in somewhere that's not America, that they have to say
this
the country
year.
after.
Yeah, it feels like it's this year. A lot of European locations are being given pay-per-views.
And they have to put the colon.
They have to put the location because in case it's somewhere else next year, they need to differentiate it.
Right.
If it comes back to Scotland, it's going to be Scotland 2 or...
They're just never coming back to Scotland ever. They're going to go to Ireland or something.
Yeah, so we're recording this on Thursday. It's been almost a week now since it happened. I've had a kind of time to think about it a little bit more. What did you guys think of this pay-per-view?
I thought it was solid. It wasn't giving me anything new, and we can go over some of that. But like, it was a solid pay-per-view.
I thought this was a fun pay-per-view. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular on my end, but I don't know, for what it was pretty fun. You know, we pretty much advanced a lot of the things that we saw on television, and I just thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good. You know, they did what they needed to do with this.
I think they did a really good job of advancing the story. And then what they did on Monday after was, well, you know.
Well, we'll get into that near the end of the episode.
They hit the reset button.
We'll have time because this is, I think, the third pay-per-view in our line of they have not found a good match count for pay-per-views.
And again, this is every company is having this problem.
Yeah, this had 5.
Like AEW, too many. WWE, not enough.
Yeah, this had 5 matches on the card. It was Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles, Unholy Union versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and the team of Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. We had Sami Zayn defending his title against Chad Gable, Bayley defending her title against Piper Niven, and Damian Priest defending his title against Drew McIntyre. Those were our matches for the night, and about an hour and a half worth of wrestling over what I assume was like a 3 or 4 hour show live. I watched it. It was about 2.5 hours.
They had a pre-show, but the pre-show is just talking.
Yeah.
At this point, trying to make themselves look like, you know, an actual sport nowadays, which I appreciate that actually.
I think
I appreciate when the pre-show does the pre-show things.
Yeah, I think when I went to my buddy Josh's house to watch it, we were waiting for the replay to come up because it started at 2 p.m. our time, like my local time. So I got over there about 6, and I think it went on for about 6 hours, which is shocking when you consider an hour and a half of wrestling.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the norm with all of these international pay-per-views. Start times vary, okay, because you know, different time zones. So sometimes they start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it's hard to get used to. So thank God we got the network and the replay, so because that was a bitch trying to catch.
They also advertised the Saudi pay-per-view, so it's like, well, I guess that's what we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, we're not gonna worry about that one.
In November, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of did, like, I think for this pay-per-view, I kind of felt my excitement go in a W pattern for this pay-per-view, up down, like just that the 2 women's matches were hit or miss for me. They also were not given a lot of time at all. I think both matches were less than a half hour. So total.
Both matches combined were like 25
minutes.
Yep.
Which is insulting, really, considering they're both championship matches. Actually, everything on this card was a championship match, which is surprising. But no U.S. championship because they just don't seem to want to use Logan Paul outside of bigger events.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think somebody said, I think I saw he's the longest reigning U.S. champion in like 9 years. Right, and it's like, okay, but he's had 2 title defenses.
Now. That's what they used to do back in the day.
Yeah, it's just like, I feel like the U.S. title is just like a nothing burger at this point until somebody in the scene gets it again.
Until they put it on LA Knight eventually, if they decide to with this feud right now.
They're going to put on LA Knight and be like, look, see, I told you we were going to do something with them.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the US titles is kind of taking a background right now.
It really has.
Everything else.
Also, no men's tag titles on this, which is interesting. I kind of feel like the tag titles are in a weird spot right now, considering it's on A-Town Down Under and Awesome Truth. I feel like you just kind of have it on two teams you don't really have space for with everything going on.
Yeah, I agree, because it feels like those two titles are both in limbo. Like ever since they split them up, they've just kind of been on autopilot with these things.
Because where do they fit in with all the where do they fit in with all the shit that's going on? And we'll get into it in terms of storyline. So like, where do the titles, the tag titles, fit into this nonsense that's about to happen? It's just a weird thing. Like they broke it up and then they just like,
okay,
it's
like broken up.
They're not the focus they're not the focus this season. We'll get back to the tag titles in the next story arc.
Let's get into the show itself. We're starting off with the
I Quit match, which makes sense. Drew McIntyre has main evented both events, or both of these events in Scotland. Spoiler alert, he also has lost both of them. So,
well, you know,
I also thought that was kind of a decision, because I would have probably put this on like second or third, but you know, because there were like other matches on the card that
on the card here. I think the women's tag match might have been a better start, because like that, we'll get into that one too, but having the hometown team win probably would have put a crowd in a much better, hype set into it.
Yep.
But yeah, we got the Cody Rhodes AJ Styles match. Good almost half hour of typical WWE I Quit style. I do like what they're doing now with the ref having to hold the microphone in front of somebody instead of just somebody saying I quit,
especially with the ref having explaining the rules in the microphone to them.
Yes, it was kind of comedic at times.
Yeah, I think they're trying to take like an MMA boxing approach with their refs, because TKO, UFC and WWE are both on the TKO now, so I guess they're trying to adopt some similar things with both companies. So yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch.
This was a very by the book AJ Cody match, I feel like, just with the I Quit stipulation thrown on. It was not a bad match by any means. It did have slow moments in it, but there were some great moments too. I think some of the spots in this match, especially the ones that AJ takes, are really hilarious. Especially when
where he's holding towards the end, where he's holding the stairs at him.
There was two. So it just transitions into your normal wrestling match. Cody eventually gets handcuffed. AJ goes, shit talks his mom, gets slapped. Cody gets out of the comedically long handcuffs, clearly meant to not trap him.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. These handcuffs on TV, they're
about 3 feet long. They're
3 feet long. They're just enough so Cody can get his legs.
He gets his legs out from under him.
Yeah.
AJ has set up a table on the outside and is going to go for the phenomenal forearm, but Cody chucks a chair at him. He has a very Looney Tunes ass drop through the table.
That was pretty good.
I thought that was one of my favorite spots in that match. And eventually, there's not a lot to talk about because not a lot really happened. We get some of our stuff, Cody does his blade spot. He's bleeding about 5 minutes into this match. I think there's a spot where he's trying to Styles Clash him off the steel steps again, which has been the thing that's been going on the show for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually Cody handcuffs him to the rope and stands over him with the steel steps, and AJ panics and says, I quit. Cody kind of looks confused that AJ gave up so easily and then hits him with the steps anyway.
I like
Cody doing heel stuff.
It's the slow build to Codelander, as my friend Josh call him.
Codelander.
It's going to be the heel run. It's going to be the delusional Cody Rhodes as a heel run. He's like, I'm the good guy kind of thing.
He's got to throw a luchador off over the ropes and then just look at the camera.
I would actually love if he took the Homelander approach to his character, because that would be fucking hilarious. I mean, it already looks like him in space.
The outfit's already there. It's just so good. But I feel him being the delusional. He's like, I'm not the bad guy. I'm the good guy. And he just does heel shit all the time.
Yes.
Right.
That feels like it'd be a better, that feels like it'd be a good evolution to the character.
You know what I liked a lot about this match? All the Mama Road stuff too. Because like every time she got involved, it was kind of comedic.
She slapped AJ 3 times, and I think that first slap was a little harder than AJ was probably expecting.
And then he went to grab a chair, and all the commentators Frost started freaking out and shit. Like he thought they were gonna hit her.
Yeah.
So that was a good spot. I loved it.
He also, Cody, at the end of the match, like looked at his mom, and his mom's like, beat his ass.
Right.
Hitting AJ Styles for his mom.
Yes.
Good old Mama Rhodes. I love her. She's
so good.
The more AJ or the more Cody blades, though, I'm like, this guy's gonna have a forehead like his dad's by the time he's 50.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have a forehead like Hulk Hogan's.
Yeah.
Like New Jack.
Oh Jesus.
Then pretty standard, pretty actually tame I Quit match. It wasn't to the extent of the Batista John Cena one where Batista says I quit and then John Cena still AAs him onto the car anyway from all those years ago. But it is showing signs of Cody, becoming a little more aggressive, even as a face, which is nice to see. I'm wondering where his title reign goes from here. I think AJ is probably done as the challenger. This was the rematch.
This was the second match between the two.
So they're probably done. Although, again, this is one of those things that we'll just get to.
We'll get to later because
on Raw.
Yeah. Post match, while Cody's celebrating, Solo walks out and stands beside him, and there's kind of like a little stare down. Which actually, I answered my question. Solo is probably the next challenger to Cody's title.
Cody back to the Bloodline 2.0.
That's never going to end.
It's a different person.
It is. He gets jumped by Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and then KO and Randy, who always seems just ready to go against Tonga and against Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, come out to save him. There is a shot of Randy looking at the title, which I think may be a feud down the line. Because Cody, as my friend Josh put it, Cody is really trying to make friends with two guys who are notorious for betraying their friends. It's like,
yeah,
it's like you have a tag team of two guys who have notoriously betrayed friends. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they keep that going. Probably my favorite match on the card, honestly. I say that knowing that the next few matches aren't spectacular, but they're not bad. But I also don't feel like the main event really did it for me in terms of just the match leading up to how the match ended. I think overall this was probably my favorite match on the card.
Talk about it, but I think my favorite was the IC just because of how like tight it was, like how solid and tight and like
it was a good booked. It was a good booked. It was a well booked storyline driven intercontinental match against two guys who can work their ass off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my other favorite part about it.
Yeah, I just think in terms of enjoyment, though, I think I enjoyed this match just a little bit more.
Sure.
So after that, we go into the triple threat for the Women's Tag Team Championship. This title feels like it is kind of holding on for dear life, but they do keep me interested whenever a title change happens. Abel Fire and Isla Dawn, the Unholy Union, versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks. And I was looking on Twitter, and I have to kind of agree. I don't think the Zoe Starks experiment's working.
Like Zoe Stark, I think she's doing fine.
I think she's fine, but I don't think she's going to be able to survive a main event role. I think she could be upper middle card and be like a good challenger. She can be a good challenger for people, but it's like people point out.
Wrestling wise, she's fantastic. It's just the character
needs
her character work and charisma and all that stuff needs work. Okay, yeah, because I remember when she cut this wild promo a few months back when she first debuted. Or was it a while back? Like a few months. It was like a couple weeks after she debuted, and it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board with her, getting on the mic and having charisma and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, someone pointed out like even the Trish storyline couldn't really like get her like character developed back when that was all happening. And somebody posted
up a lot of flaws.
And then somebody pointed a clip out that I saw a few weeks back, or I guess when Chelsea Green and Sonya were a team, or like hanging out or something. Like Zoe like tries to intimidate him with like a thing on the ramp, and like neither of them react. And I'm like, I don't think she's been able to recover from that.
No,
just not even scaring Chelsea Green of all people. Like, so this is a lot of little things. But yeah, I think the character definitely needs some work, but she is good in the ring. I think putting her with Shayna, I think putting her with Shayna is a good choice.
Yeah.
This match basically points out to me that there was something up with the top rope in this pay-per-view. Before the AJ match, before the AJ Cody match, the ref pointed out something. You see AJ kind of flex the like rope a little bit. I think it was looser than the rest of the ropes, because in this match, Jade Cargill slips on it. And then when we get to the Damian Priest McIntyre match, given how McIntyre reacts, I don't think that was a planned spot.
No, it wasn't.
So I think that this top rope was not put functionally sound.
But my question is, don't they have like a? My question is, don't WWE have a ring crew? How come they couldn't just adjusted the ropes in the middle of this whole thing? In between matches. Yeah. Or was it a job that they just couldn't do at the moment? Like, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
What gets me is that if something was up when they pointed out to AJ, you think somebody would come out there and fix it.
At least in between matches.
Because it's a safety issue.
Yeah. It is. It almost got Priest's ankle completely broken.
Yeah.
So that could have been worse than what it was.
Yeah. So I'm putting that out there because there's some botches in this match that I don't think entirely fall on the wrestler's fault. People are real quick to take to tearing apart Jade Cargill for the over the rope like crossbody she tried to do and slipped.
Yeah, that was absolutely not her fault.
Yeah.
How dare a woman botch ever?
That wasn't entirely her fault.
How dare a black woman botch?
So I think this is just, there was a problem probably with the ropes, whether or not they want to admit it or not, because it did affect at least 2 matches.
Yes.
This did not get a lot of time to breathe. It was everybody kind of hitting their moves, getting their moment in, and then I believe Jade and Bianca hit their finisher on Shayna, but then got pushed out of the ring, and Isla Dawn pinned Baszler to win the title. So good way of protecting Bianca and your new prospect in Jade, while having the title being able to change hands as well. And Bianca and Jade
can take a pin.
She can, and Bianca and Jade legitimately looked like, what the fuck? Like, how did we lose this? I still think the plan down the line is Bianca Jade at SummerSlam. I think this might be the first tear in their
teamwork. If it is, they're gonna have to get this feud out the way really quick, or they have to get the build up done really quick, because otherwise, I would save this for WrestleMania next year.
It might be WrestleMania. All things considered.
Jade said that that's her dream match. So
yeah,
they'll save it for WrestleMania then. We did have one announced match for Money in the Bank coming up. Seth Rollins is back. Apparently, we'll talk about Monday, and he'll be going up against Damian Priest for his title back because he never got his rematch. So
for him,
so they're bringing that back, which is nice. I kind of wish this tag match would have had a little more time to cook a little bit. I would have loved to see Alba and Isla, show off a little bit more. I don't feel like
if you're going to make them champs.
If they make them champs, they don't get enough screen time as it is. It's kind of upsetting. But Hometown Girls win the titles. Out of the 4 Hometown Hero matches, they're the only victors. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get to that though too.
That's on brand with WWE.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like we can't talk about this match for much because it's like 10 minutes and like you had to get 6 people doing stuff. So everybody got like a minute and a half at least, like at most, to do their own shit.
Yeah.
Right.
What was this one? This one was 12 minutes. So yeah.
Yep.
That's unfair.
2 minutes apiece.
2 minutes apiece.
So make the most of it to get your shit in, hit the finish, pass the tag. It's like, and that's just like a run thing. 27 minutes for Cody's match, 12 minutes for the women's tag, 22 minutes for Intercontinental, 13 minutes for Bailey, 20 minutes for Damian Priest. It's like there's a discrepancy, especially if these pay-per-views are going for 6.
What's the discrepancy?
If these pay-per-views are at least going for 4 hours, that's a discrepancy that needs to be that needs to be fixed. Your ads should not take up more time on your show than your actual fucking show. Like, it's absurd that they're letting it do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because if you watch this shit live, you watch a match and then you literally have 20 minutes to do whatever the fuck you want before another match comes on, and I'm like, that 10 minutes of that could have been put into this match. Like, it's absurd.
The worst part about it is for people who watch it live, because they have
absolutely
ads.
We do at live house shows. Actually, I think you and I go to live house shows. Like, they can cut to commercial in the middle of an entrance and you see the production stop and the wrestler just like go from entrance mode to just like casually walking to the ring. And I'm like, God, this live show fucking sucks. Like, yeah. And then like the moment they come back from ads, it's just like the music comes back on and they're back into mode. I'm like, God, if the business was still like alive in people's minds, this fucking kills it.
It is so disjointed. It is so disjointed how WWE live shows do that. On television shows do that. Because I've gone to Dynamite multiple times in the last 3 years.
They just go through.
They just go through.
We're cutting to an ad. Don't give a shit. Picture in picture. Keep on wrestling.
They go through. Keep on wrestling, and then when they actually do take commercial breaks, you have the ring announcer, just kind of like talking to the crowd and entertaining them until the next match starts.
The crowd stuff's great. They are coming back to our area when we're recording this.
Already got a ticket for it.
I'm waiting to see if Josh is going to be available or not.
Right.
Before we figure out if we get tickets or not. But if not, it's whatever.
Shout out to Josh. I don't know.
Yeah, my buddy Josh, my old manager from GameStop. He and I still hang out. We go to wrestling shows together.
Dox him, you idiot.
That's fine. I just said he doesn't work there anymore. So
right. It's all good.
But yeah, it's great. I think kind of also I need to take more pictures. Every time I go, I get a few pictures with them onto the Instagram. But let's move on to the Sami Zayn Chad Gable match, which is filled with storyline. In addition to 22 minutes of just great wrestling.
Yes. All of the above.
So going into this match, the Chad Gable Sami Zayn storyline is Perk Gable being an asshole to his team. Otis starting to listen to Sammy a bit and stand up for himself. And this was kind of the preamble to what would happen on Monday, where Otis has finally had enough, takes Tozawa and Maxine and leaves Gable in the ring by himself near the end, which ultimately costs him the match. But this was such a good Intercontinental match, and these are the kind of guys that this title should be given to.
Yes.
I want Gable to get a title at some point. Like, just a solo run for some odd months as IC, just something, This guy he just re-signed. It's just like he's lost every attempt at the Continental title match. I'm just like, fuck.
I know that they mentioned that Gable mentioned that he re-signed on, what was it, the Gorilla Position, that talk show or whatever. And he mentioned he did it because he said Triple H kept his promise about where the trajectory of his character would be.
Yes.
So it remains to be seen where that goes for us. But apparently, if Chad Gable's happy, I'm happy. I'll put it that way.
Chad Gable's fucking dead.
Now we'll get into that later.
We'll get into it, but what the fuck is his creative at this point? Like, it's just so all over the place. But we'll get into it. Let's get into the match.
I do think there's a plan in place for him. It's just going to materialize a lot later after what I think is going to happen with him.
We know what the plan is. Is eventually him and the Creed brothers.
And that's when that's when they execute it. But they haven't.
I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, how do we get there though? From this, it's like we had a pretty clear shot from this storyline to that storyline, but now we have this weird road bump. in the middle that I didn't account for.
Well, WWE creative doesn't always make sense, but they get there.
We'll get into it. I have so many thoughts about it.
Let's get into the match though.
So the turning point of this match, this match has some good back and forth, just pure wrestling, which is great. Every time I see Chad Gable hit Chaos Theory, I'm just like, it's such a good looking suplex. This match changes though when I believe Gable dodges Sammy, or Sammy dodges Gable, and they hit Maxine in her injured leg, which gets Otis into the mix, which then eventually leads to them, leaving. Gable's in the corner, has his back turned, turns around, eats a hell of a kick, and then takes the pin. Pretty simple finish to a match. It progresses the story. But what do you guys think of this match?
I thought this was, like I said, this was my match of the night. Like, I love just watching just two people who can just go. And on top of that, they had a really compelling storyline of
going into this,
like
you
said, Perk Gable, going off the deep end.
It's a good story building up, like you're invested in it.
And overall,
this is Otis too. Otis is helping this story.
Because overall, I think this has been some of the best, storytelling in WWE as of late. This whole Chad Gable storyline, and and obviously, any good thing involving Sammy is going to blow up eventually. It's going to work out for Otis in the long run, because I think they're just kind of trying to move him upward a little bit. Because anytime Sammy saves somebody, it seems like they become main eventers. Look at Jey Uso.
That's the thing, and that's just
super popular, and the crowd's behind him, and I just love how this is going right now for Otis and this whole storyline in general.
Shows you how good Sammy is, because the whole thing with him in the Bloodline was supposed to be a 2-month thing, and it got so over, and he became the secondary protagonist of the Bloodline story because he was so good at the role.
Yeah.
Eventually, if he does get the Creed brothers, I can kind of get behind the team of Tozawa, Otis, Sammy. They're all just great characters. Tozawa's hilarious. Otis has always kind of been a crowd favorite. It's just he can always get over no matter what he's doing.
They just joined the Cody Avengers.
This dude got a lunchbox Money in the Bank briefcase over. So he can do any damn thing.
He's a gentleman. He's had 2 stories with ladies that he's helping. He had Mandy, now he has Maxine he's protecting. He is a great baby face.
Alexa Bliss?
Oh, and was Alexa Bliss one of his storylines? I can't remember.
No, I don't think she was.
Okay.
I know it was Mandy Rose,
Mandy Rose
a while back, and now he's kind of being protective of Maxine, which is cute. Otis is such a good baby face.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just more with him. He's really helping this story go along. But yeah, so this does carry over to Monday, though, the storyline here with Otis and Gable. Where, funnily enough, looking back at Monday, a lot of people who were pissed and left dodged all of that shit that happened. Right. Otis is we're leaving. McIntyre's I quit.
Jey Uso was in the crowd. He was in the crowd hiding like a fan.
Yeah. So it's oh, thank God they're all safe. Gable was not. Well, like I said, we'll get to that. This Bayley match was weird for me because has this been going on for a few weeks, or is this just a thing that was kind of just thrown together for this?
They had a couple week build to this match, but all of it just felt really off to me.
This felt like get Piper into the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. It was a kind of a weak build, so I just didn't care for this match.
And it always felt to me like this would have made a lot more sense if Chelsea Green was going against Bayley, because she kind of has been the centerpiece of all of this. But I guess they just wanted to put Piper Niven in there because they wanted to give her a match in front of her hometown, and that's fine. But this whole build up to this match and the match itself just felt kind of off.
Yeah.
And I can't quite put my finger on it, but
I like it better with Piper as the person who's actually wrestling, because Chelsea Green is such a good like outside of the ring personality.
She's a good comedic
she's a
character.
Good wrestler. She's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong, but she's almost better outside of the ring to like be a presence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you on that. But like I said, it just felt weird because Piper was the one wrestling and like Chelsea Green was like doing the heavy work, like the promos and all that other stuff.
I think this is a good start for Piper, though, to get her back into things. Like, she does have an imposing presence, and at the Royal Rumble, she did kind of stand toe-to-toe with Nia Jax. So she could be that new Nia Jax. I think when we talked about it in the Royal Rumble, it's like, build her up like you have built up Nia. She is believable in that role as, like, the bruiser of the women's division.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Because the best part of this match wasn't even the wrestling. It was Chelsea Green getting ejected and then coming back in a Rey Mysterio mask to distract the ref again. God, I love Chelsea Green so much.
She is hilarious.
So yeah, it's just real funny though. It's just seeing her in like the purple Rey Mysterio mask coming out trying to distract the ref again. The ref is clearly like not buying it.
It's Chelsea Verde.
Chelsea Verde, I think, is what commentary.
Chelsea Verde. Or Nacho Chelsea.
Yeah, it was so funny. I'm pretty sure she just ran backstage and like went to race like, can I borrow a mask? It's like Bayley hits a crucifix driver on Piper for the win, which interesting finish. If that's a new move she's adding to her arsenal, that's really cool. I think for the longest time, like I've loved Darby doing the crucifix driver, but for some reason, I think Bayley, in terms of physical like size to her opponents, makes it a little more believable to hit it on people. It's not just like a small Darby like hitting somebody with a crucifix driver, but he hits it really smooth too. But Bayley hit it really smooth in this match too. I was legitimately like surprised at how well it was executed. Hits it, rolls up Piper to get the win, maintains her title, and now earns the right, according to this wiki account, to earning the right to become Queen Nia Jax's challenger. So,
but it's sure.
So that's it, and that's who'll wait till SummerSlam because that's right around the corner after Money in the Bank, obviously.
Yeah. This Bayley title run has been all right. I just feel like it's kind of going into this. It was kind of like a weird detour, I guess, before the next big feud. Which
everything on this pay-per-view was a weird detour.
It was everything on here
that had like storyline merit.
Yeah, it was a weird detour for a few titles here. I kind of wish this match was given more time. I would love to see Piper and Nevin be able to show like what she can do. And Bayley deserves more than 10-minute matches.
Yeah,
it's insulting. The more I think about the anger I get that they're just not giving the women the same amount of time.
I don't know. It just feels to me like with all the champions after WrestleMania, the creative just really falls off for them. It just seems like they just run out of ideas and they just have to hit the reset button. It feels mostly the case with Cody, and now we're bringing him back to the bloodline, and I guess they're just trying to get to Nia Jax somehow, but they have to hit a couple detours here with Bayley, and I just kind of wish they'd do a better job with that.
Yeah, well, hopefully with what happened on Monday, the current writing team's dead, and we have a new writing team coming in. So
there's a lot of bodies back there.
So that's the thing, though. Do you guys? We'll talk. We have one more match to get through, and then we can talk about because I have so many questions about how they're going to like go about this. All right, final match. We have Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Weird finish to this match. Kind of dig it. Kind of weird though, because when they showed like the behind the scenes of what happened, I could only ask, so was CM Punk just waiting for a ref bump to do this? It's like, was that his whole plan? Yeah. Wait for a ref bump. Also, and then, really good ref bump in this match.
Yeah,
this was a good ref bump.
That's probably the best ref bump I've seen in quite some time.
Because like
I've seen a ref
he
hit the damn barricade the way he did.
he was in the corner. He dodged between the ropes to get out of way of a thing, and then he still got hit when they like hit the ropes. And I was like, this ref actually sold this ref bump really well.
Yeah, he did.
I'm glad that the refs are being able to do a little bit more too, as character work. But so yeah, pretty easy, a pretty standard match until Priest tries to go for a dive and basically flips with his foot in the ropes. And there's a very brief moment where Drew drops character to try to help him, looks at the ref, and then gets in character again, kicking Damian Priest as he's hanging upside down. But for that brief moment, I was like, this was not planned. This was an accident.
And I laughed my ass off when Drew started kicking it because I was like, oh man, this is good improv by Drew.
Good thing that in like a 5-second span, Drew was like, are you good? Looks to the ref. Is he good? Okay, back into character. It was just a great transition from concern to, okay, we're good. We can keep going. It looks like it was still very rough for Damian, though. It looks like around his shoulders, he like hit the corner of like the apron. Yeah. And stuff like that. He's a tall dude, so that does not come easy to him.
There's a lot of room to go down.
There was a lot of room to go down. So that all happens before the ref bump. I will give it to WWE. Getting rid of Kevin Dunn was the best fucking thing they ever done, because when that ref comes in and starts counting, for the first moment, you can't tell that it's CM Punk because of the angle of the camera behind the ref. But then when he stops and stands up, you see the salt and pepper, and you're like, it's Punk. And then it's just, Drew looks at him, and Punk's just, two.
Buddy.
Drew, in the storyline that has been building, Drew is letting Punk get under his skin, and it is costing him every time he does. Tries to fight CM Punk, eats a low blow, eats a South of Heaven, and McIntyre wins. And according to this wiki, CM Punk celebrated with the crowd. If you were watching this show, the crowd was not celebrating with Punk. They wanted to fucking kill him.
It was like I think there was like one dude in the front row who was just screaming at Punk, throwing middle fingers and everything.
He is as over that barricade as legally allowed. Like showing both fingers to Punk. It's just like this crowd. I think somebody also uploaded a video after the show ended, and Samantha was like saying goodbye to everybody or something. Like the crowd was just booing like this building out. It was just so, this crowd hated this. Aside from that, good match. It kind of is just two big guys beating the shit out of each other.
Yep. And
even after the rope incident, Damian still had enough strength and wasn't hurt enough on his ankle that he still fucking hit McIntyre with a razor's edge. Like, that is a big man to be able to do that too.
Yeah.
He's not tiny.
Yeah, and then that will feed into what happens on Monday as well, with Drew quitting because he's had enough and avoiding what happens.
That's until Friday.
Until Friday. Yeah, Drew's going to show up somewhere else. But Damian Priest is now going to go to Money in the Bank to take on Seth Rollins. Don't know if he's just going to beat him clean and Seth just goes into like another feud or something. But I feel like we're about to get one big feud against a certain group. So we've been beating around the bush. Let's talk about Monday.
All right, let's talk.
If there was ever something that screamed new story arc, it was this episode of Raw.
It's not like a Raw after WrestleMania.
It did. And I like that because we progressed the Gable story with Otis and them finally leaving him. And then Gable pretty much snapping, being like, I don't need them. I'm gonna win Money in the Bank. I'm gonna be world heavyweight champion. Like, that's his goal. It's like, okay, cool. Let's get him into that picture now. That's cool. Drew comes out angry, just quits, leaves, has a little chat with Triple H and Adam Pearce. backstage, walks out, and I didn't watch the rest of the episode, but as Jay is celebrating at the end of the night, the lights in the arena start to go out, and we get a fantastic reveal of the new Sister Abigail, Nikki Cross, with the lantern, and then a very, very good tracking shot revealing the rest of the Wyatt Six, which they have changed the name. It is Six as in six like illness.
SICKS.
Yeah, so pretty good and interesting name change, especially if you're not going to have six people. It wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, there is always that one person who's just
there is always that which
anymore, so.
Yeah, so that could be something there.
I still there's one spot left, and I think you all know who it is at this point. Oh,
I think it's gonna be Bliss.
I guess I don't know.
I think it might be Bliss.
No, I'm saying it's supposed to be there for Bray Wyatt.
I know it's supposed to be but
I know that.
Yeah, I know, but I think Bliss may still end up in this. This faction.
Maybe. Fair enough.
We get a slow reveal of all the other members. First person I think we get is Eric Rowan, in his rabbit mask, I believe is him. He had a Bludgeon Brother hammer. Shout out to Brody Lee. I believe also somebody pointed out that the back of his outfit, he had Brody Lee's mask on like the back of his head. So
it's a nice touch.
Nice touch. He's keeping Brody alive and Wyatt alive. You know, it's
cool. He's keeping both of his brothers alive.
Yeah.
He made her the spirit of them.
I mean, we saw during the Brody Lee tribute show, like Eric Rowan is an emotional guy when it comes to this. He probably wants to honor them as much as he can.
Yeah. Much respect to him for that.
I wish we kind of had some better lighting, because as we're doing this tracking shot, there are just bodies spewing around gorilla position, and a few of them are noticeable. We do get a bunch of security guards. I believe that the list that people were putting together is like Gunther's taken out, Carmelo Hayes is taken out, like a bunch of baby faces, and a few.
Cody was in there.
Cody was in there. I think Cody was one of the ones that they suspected because, like I said, the lighting was not that great. There is a very deliberate focus on Chad Gable with a wound to his head, which everybody jokingly said was a gunshot. So it's like, holy shit, he's fucking dead.
I think it was a nice pick too. Who knows?
But the thing is, like they said,
anyone's ever seen a real gunshot wound who said that.
I think they oversold it because they said the massacre, but it's like unless there's a storyline reason these guys aren't dead, they're just gonna be injured in terms of storyline. So it's just a weird thing to call it.
And the thing I liked about this, go ahead.
No. Continue. This my thing.
Because the thing I liked about this is that as they're doing this whole little one-take tracking shot, you just see like blood spats on the wall. So they kind of
so it's like
this extremely well.
Who did they kill?
It is implying that somebody got fucked up really bad. So
I agree with wrestling Twitter on this. You either address this on Monday and it's like, so a lot of our wrestlers are not wrestling right now, they are in the hospital, or you just do it and you don't have a Raw episode on Monday and you end its reign as the longest running TV show. You just don't do an episode and you don't explain why, because like just nobody's there. But then we get the reveal of Joe Gacy in his mask as Hawkus the pig, or Hoskus the pig. Huskus. Dexter Loomis is back. Yay. As Mercy the Buzzard.
Finally.
And then we get the great reveal after we pan away from Chad Gable to Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, in light doing a nice little pose. And then he's joined by his team as he leaves. And they end Raw saying that we're here. A great debut.
The specific shot where Uncle Howdy goes to grab the lantern and pulls up, and as he's pulling up, Sister Abigail's coming with him.
Yeah,
I thought that was
he had Bray's hurt glove onto, which was a nice touch. Best debut in WWE in a long time. Yeah. If they carry through with this energy and make them a dominant faction, like week by week, just more and more of the roster is just destroyed by this faction, I think they have money on the table. I don't think this team can lose anytime soon without hurting their aura.
No, they have to go and mop up the entire mid card first. That's what they need to do.
I think if they do this, I think Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view has to be chaotic with every match or something, like having some kind of Wyatt just moment in it. Like I think they have to take over something to really just make this faction the big thing, you know?
My favorite thing about it is afterwards they got Whataburger.
Absolutely. The responses for everything after somebody tweeted Dijak and it was like, so why didn't you, it's like, are you okay? Were you and Odyssey Jones not harmed? Or something like that, because they're just constantly backstage and it's like, we need some people to fight it. Dijak, you're in catering, right? And Dijak's like, I ain't gonna do shit. Indy tweeted, it's like, I want a divorce because Dexter Loomis is in the faction. It's just like a bunch of things. And then they had the interview with Jey Uso, which I didn't see, but it's like they asked him about it.
Oh, it was hilarious. Yeah, Jey Uso basically said, "Yeah, man, yeah, you know, I don't want anything to do with them. They can have the Fireflies back. I think his family. I'm sorry, Bray Wyatt, he's my boy, but his family's here, and I got to go. Like I watched that whole event. Jey Uso was so unserious. It's fucking great. I love it.
So yeah, it's this better be like the first thing addressed on SmackDown. It's like, so something happened. Something happened on Raw.
Roster, half our Raw roster is currently in the hospital right now. So.
Wow.
But that's what brings up, it's like, it's a very clear, okay, he's pissed at Otis. Now we get the Creed brothers and they probably go after Otis and Sammy. And that was just like, oh shit, he's fucking dead. Like, where does Gable go?
He's not breathing.
It's just like, oh shit. And I'm just like, just months, just undefeated for months. Just give this faction their aura. Like, it's, if you needed like an Undertaker-esque power in this company, it's this. And it's like, you need to treat them like that kind of wrestler faction, you know? Like, Uncle Howdy needs to be untouched with everybody that he has around him. Don't even let him wrestle, really. Like, just let him be the guy who sends these 4 crazy people after somebody. Like,
they need to treat these guys like horror movie villains. They need to go back there almost every week and just slaughter the entire roster. Hell, have them come with SmackDown. Have them come move over to SmackDown also. Don't even lock them down to Raw. You know, just put them on both shows and have them wreak havoc on everybody. And have the same thing happen with SmackDown as they did on Raw. You know, that's just that would just be a great way to get these guys off the ground.
This is going to lead to Cody and the boys and Judgment Day and the Bloodline. Just, we have a problem.
The Cody Avengers.
No, it's like Cody, Judgment Day, and Bloodline just sitting in a room. Just, we have a problem. Yeah. And then you just have like Uncle Howdy come in, and it's like, it's the Dark Knight Joker scene of, it's like, you think you just walk in here and take our money? Yeah. Like that whole scene of Joker in the gangster like meeting, like leaving, just that energy.
There's only one good scene that I ever liked from Kevin Dunn. And that was Randy Orton when he was a Legend Killer, and there was a table that was like Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and 2 other people.
Yeah.
And he goes in, puts night vision goggles on, turns the lights out, and just beats the shit out of them. And I think that has to happen.
That was fun.
But yeah, it's like, you have to treat this faction, because I think they said too that there's not gonna be any supernatural elements here. They wanted to treat them more realistically, and it's like, it's a cult of serial killers and you need to treat them like such.
Like, family.
Don't cut promos. Like, have one guy cut promos, but just have these like 4 psychopaths just like attack wrestlers each week. Like, it's just, man.
It kind of makes me sick. It kind of makes me sad that the Righteous isn't a part of this.
I was about to bring it up. I'm like, I want to see the universe where the Righteous are the other 2 members of this team.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see the universe where the Righteous are actually good guys going against them.
Yes. I I know they're not being like booked a lot or well. We can talk about everything. Like every company has its ups and downs. They are hitting and missing with a lot of wrestlers in a lot of companies right now. Especially TNA. TNA is a big weird spot right now for wrestling because like cool, we have this partnership, but that partnership is our guys just lose. So it's just like, is WWE going to send guys over there to lose the TNA guys? I don't think so.
Well, they did. Well, against all odds, they sent Tatum Paxley over to challenge Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts title, which she lost. So I don't know.
So as long as there's an equivalent exchange, because I feel
we both have to send jobbers over.
Well, they did it too in AEW when the 4 like CMLL top stars went against Blackpool Combat Club. And they lost in the U.S., but then when Blackpool Combat Club went to Mexico, they repaid the pinfall.
Yeah, they lost over there.
So I think
when company really awkward.
Yeah, it's just like send your most popular wrestler in Joe Hendry over, and he's like the first one eliminated.
That was the whole roster jumps him.
That was so funny, and the funniest part is that someone from TNA eliminated him in Kazarian.
Yes, I think that had to be also in part of the contract. It's like, you know what? If you're going to do this to him, have one of our guys do it.
Yeah.
But
Ethan Page
was so funny.
And Ethan Page and the other guy were not eliminated. They went through the middle rope during their brawl, so that's something that they can build up on. But I'm glad that Joe Hendry was there. I'm glad Joe Hendry's in the US in TNA. I watched him in WCPW, and he was fantastic.
I still believe in Joe Hendry.
Like seeing WCPW was such a golden time for indie wrestling, and we just took it for granted when it was around. That shit gave us fucking Rey Mysterio and Ospreay, for crying out loud. Like.
There was a streamer who has the Joe Hendry theme on, like he has a button that he presses and it just starts the theme. That's and it fantastic. Has like Joe Hendry clapping along the bottom of it.
But that also shows you the star that he is, because that NXT crowd went fucking nuts.
Yes.
For Joe Hendry. Like
he cut like a heelish promo and they still believed in him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Joe Hendry is using social media and stuff like the right way of just getting himself like at least known by wrestling fans. But yeah, so Monday Night Raw, a lot of people are missing or supposedly KIA, so I don't know. It's been
seriously injured. We'll just call it seriously injured.
If they just go like business as usual on SmackDown, I'm gonna be like, guys,
stop the cap.
If they go business as usual on SmackDown, that'd actually be funnier.
That actually would be, yes. Also, Triple H tweeted out like an announcement for Jey Uso at Money in the Bank, like the little promotional image, and somebody replied, "Just aren't you dead?" It's like because I think Triple H was among the wrecked personnel backstage.
Yes.
So
him and Adam Pearce, most likely.
Him, Adam Pearce, probably Bruce Pritchard if he's still there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of I'm interested in Friday. They got me hooked.
I'm for sure interested in both Friday and Monday.
Yeah. Also, just wrestling this week has just been great with everything that happened on Raw, and then everything that happened yesterday on Dynamite, and everything that they've teased and everything that they've announced for Forbidden Door and All Out and All In. I'm just like, God, wrestling was so good this week.
Yeah,
it's like they're teasing Ospreay and MJF for All In. The Swerve and Ospreay stuff for All Out has gotten some fire behind it now. Hekasero and MJF at Forbidden Door is going to be fucking nuts.
I don't know who that is.
He's a CMLO guy. He's been just one of the guys that's popped up recently, but he's quickly become like one of my favorites. He's a big dude that can do lucha. The Mad Alchemist is his nickname. He does like the Fashugi handball like stuff, and I'm like, he's a wizard. He's a lucha libre wizard.
Or a Naruto character, who knows?
But yeah, so he's there. He's really been with Cage of Agony. So then Cage of Agony was like, hey, we'll give you somebody for Forbidden Door, and it's Hekasero. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can get behind that match. because MJF and Rush also had a great fucking match on Wednesday. So yeah, wrestling this week has been great, and if they hit well tomorrow night, it's just gonna be a good week of wrestling. Like, just from NXT to Raw to Dynamite, it's just what a good week.
I want them to keep this momentum going, because this is the time of the year where you really need to be on. You know, we're getting close to SummerSlam, we're getting close to All In.
Yeah,
wrestling is about to heat up.
Oh, absolutely, and just that innate sense of competition it makes it so much better.
I love it. Have you seen the reports that Shane went to AEW?
Shane reached out to people he knew who wrestled in AEW because he wants to join the company. And I will give it to this, from everything that has come out about the Vince McMahon shit and all that, Shane actually legitimately gave a shit about wrestling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think him being over there as a wrestler won't work, but if he could be behind the scenes as, I guess, maybe somebody for advice, just in terms of the production side of it or like the writing side of it, you know, he can bring a different, viewpoint. Because I think Shane legitimately cared about wrestling and just wanted the company to succeed. And there are reports of like him talking about like taking over like ECW or something back then.
Yeah.
And like being that there was like, nah. And I think that's what kind of led him to also leave. So I think Shane is one of the good ones for the McMahon family. He's crazy, but
he generally wants to see wrestling go in a better direction than it has been. And
him,
I got a lot of respect for him.
It's like him, David Arquette, Freddie Prinze Jr., like a bunch of people who you wouldn't expect are just like, we just want wrestling to succeed. And I think I read an interview excerpt earlier. David Arquette was talking about WCW and when he won the world heavyweight title in WCW. And he went backstage and he was like, how many times have you won this? And he was talking to Booker T, and Booker T just looked at him and said, I've never won that title. And David Arquette said, it was at that moment I realized that this was a mistake. Like this, he's like, oh fuck, we have fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so funny that the interview coincided with who killed WCW. And it's just like, we talked about like 12 guys just pointing fingers at each other.
And by the way, I need to go. Wait, episode 3 just dropped recently. I think I'm gonna go watch that.
It's just so funny. It's just like, who killed WCW? And it's like a dozen people pointing fingers. And it's like, guys, it was a group project. And you all fucking bombed it.
You all did it.
You all contributed in some way or another.
There were several things that happened across multiple people that led to this company dying. And Bret Hart just calling Goldberg Bill Goldberg every chance he gets. Not saying just Goldberg, just calling him Bill Goldberg is like the pettiest thing, and it's so funny.
I love Bret though. I mean, he does not sugarcoat shit at all.
Bret Goldberg retirement match is just Bret Hart, and Bret Hart's allowed to use a gun. I think I saw that. I think I saw that on Twitter as a post. It's like retirement match idea: Bill Goldberg versus Bret Hart. Bret Hart's allowed to use a gun. But yeah. So from this pay-per-view to hopefully tomorrow, when this episode goes live, we've had a fantastic week of wrestling.
Yes,
and it's like I said, all these pay-per-views are coming up. The fucking sign at AEW, what the fuck's a PLE? Like that sign made me laugh a little bit. But yeah, we have all these big events coming up too. Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. We're not talking about Crown Jewel. Forbidden Door is about to get real interesting. Just God, it's every time. What a good time to be a wrestling fan. like gosh, just it's. We're eating well.
2018, 2019 WWE anymore.
Speaking of which, I was looking at Damian Priest's Wikipedia page, and I forgot that it was so recent. 2021 Wrestling Observer newsletter, worst match of the year: Damian Priest versus The Miz. And I was like, I don't even fucking remember that match at back.
You talking about that zombie match?
Oh my god, it was the zombie match, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, it was a zombie match. It was the Walking Dead. It was the Walking Dead match.
No, it was a movie with Batista in it.
Oh right, was it the Army of the Dead?
Something like that. It was stupid. Like,
Oh my
I still,
God.
it's burned in my brain to this day. This match where just for whatever reason they just decided to put zombies around and the Miz dies, and yet somehow does
Yeah.
not come back as a zombie the following week.
God, that was such a terrible fucking match. I'm so glad he was able to bounce back from all that shit. Like, zombie lumberjacks in the fucking lumberjack match.
Yeah.
We escaped a black hole, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in a Renaissance era, as WWE is calling it. No, they're calling it the Triple H era, but we're going to call it the Renaissance era. Well, what would it be in terms of ages? I know like the golden age of wrestling was probably like the 80s. Then we had the 90s, would probably be considered like the silver age.
Mm-hmm.
Are we in like in the bronze age of wrestling right now?
I would not call it the Bronze Age.
It was more like a Renaissance.
Yeah, we're in a nice wrestling renaissance right now.
Because
Every company
we're in the post Vince era and everything's just starting to rebuild. So
I'm gonna start calling it that.
Yeah.
The PV era.
The post Vince era of wrestling.
Year one PV.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean TNA is getting a limelight again with their partnership. Not only just with fucking AEW, but now with WWE. CMLL and AAA are easing their restrictions, apparently, according to interviews that Rocky Romero is doing. He's kind of easing their federation like feud with each other. That's saying like AAA wrestlers and CMLL wrestlers can't appear on the same card together. Like he's trying to get that relaxed. Stardom is getting a spotlight with Mina being in like one of the top women's stories right now. Everything's just doing so good right now.
I really want Mariah, Tony, and Mina all as a trio.
I hope it leads to that. It's so funny though because the match for Tony versus Mina, it's just Mariah May was like, "Can I be on the graphics behind both women's?" And Tony's like, "Absolutely." And then the updated graphic went up with Mariah May behind both.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
have a custody of Mariah match.
I'm like, this is just the best women's story happening right now, isn't it? Like this is just this is fucking fantastic. But yes, as we say every time we do this, shut the fuck up, Twitter. Just enjoy wrestling.
Nobody's paying you to gluck one fed or the other.
The more I look at it, it's like five guys. It's like the same five guys just constantly shit talking each other on Twitter. But it's just like, if you're a fan of wrestling, just watch everything you want to watch. You don't have to pick one show. People will say, oh, it's that indie mud show shit. But if you like video game wrestling, there's things you can like. If you like comic book wrestling, WWE is kind of your go-to thing. But like, I like that mix, you know? I like that variety of wrestling.
I would say AEW's fault is that they're trying too hard to get everything at once.
Yeah.
And I think not specializing is a bad thing.
I will still criticize that I think Tony needs to give some other people booking. You have to.
I think Tony needs to stop being a mark.
It's just
that too.
He has such a big roster, and he's trying to do everything. Here's what you go like, okay, roster pod A, B, and C. Here's everybody who is currently in them. You and you book this one. You and you book this one. You and me will handle this one.
Yeah. AEW's booking needs to be more of a team effort, and not Tony Khan trying to be Herb Abrams 2024. Okay, so
yeah. I think they have big enough roster. It's like, okay, let's pick a bunch of people, put them into groups. It's like, all right, what feud can we get out of this? What feuds can we get out of this one? What feuds can we get out of this one? And then just have a few people just handle a group of people while Tony keeps the big stars, as his focus. It's like, okay, where's our mid-card feuds? All right, we have these guys. Like, what's Kip Sabian doing? Let's get him into a feud with somebody. Kip has a great look. He's a great wrestler. I just wish they use him more. And the plus side, he has Penelope, who could also lead to heelish tactics like distractions and stuff in matches. There's a lot of people that have a ton of potential that are just being overshadowed because I don't think he has the attention span to cover his whole roster size. And I think if he gets at least two more experienced people like Dustin Rhodes and Danielson, hey, just give some people stuff to do, you know?
Also, I think he also needs to sort out Ring of Honor as well. I would try to turn that more into like
just
what
give
NXT
that at that
is.
point. At that point, just give it to Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, just
Like,
let him book it.
Just to give it to Jerry Lynn. It's like, hey, this is your company now. Like, your big decisions, stuff that you like, I will still have the final say, but bring me your ideas. You know, I think he just needs to take a step back and just be like, all right, let's have a game plan post All Out. You know, it's just the roster is huge. It is talented. And they can do so much. It's almost the opposite problem of WWE still, where their roster feels kind of small. So they're doing all the same stuff over and over again. And I'm like, we can figure out a middle ground between all of this. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
you guys have a small but dedicated roster of workers in WWE. Just how can we shift it around? And so it's not just constant feuds with Judgment Day or Bloodline. And then AEW's like, oh, there's a lot of you. Okay, you two pick like 10 wrestlers and just do whatever. Like, and then we'll figure out this Ring of Honor thing. But you're right, X. I think it should be their NXT, basically. Or anybody who doesn't have anything to do on AEW should be in Ring of Honor doing stuff there. Like,
and then you could just move people from the Ring of Honor to the AEW side of the roster, and then
it's like, oh,
just have them go from there.
Yeah. Oh, post pay-per-view. All right, you two swap places. You know.
Yeah.
But it's also like, hey, if we have a Ring of Honor, we can get clips for video packages. So when they finally do show up, we have things to show the audience.
Yeah.
And rather than just like, if Kip shows up, it's like, what has he been doing? It's like.
And that's one thing AEW I kind of commend them on lately, because they've been doing video packages for Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. I was like, why don't they just do this with everybody more often? You know almost how people complain about, oh, who's this guy? Well, just do that, and that explains everything. Because you can't just tell, hey, go to Google. You know, people aren't going to figure that out.
I mean, Hesacero got his own like video package on Wednesday to prep up his like people's knowledge of him before he takes on MJF. So they are getting smarter about things. There is still a lot of work to do, but I mean, even though they've had four almost 5 years, you know, it's just like there's still always room for improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, it took Raw. It took Raw 30 something. It took Raw 30 something years to finally get to a good sense of improvement with Vince gone. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so, well, like I said, enjoy wrestling. Just, you don't need to fight about it. You're not getting paid. It doesn't, somebody watching a show doesn't affect you. And the more fucking companies we have, the more places people have to work, which I'm always for. So,
yes.
It's like you don't have to like somebody who wrestles in AEW, but I mean, they have a family. They have to make money. So it's not your problem. Just turn the channel. It's
change the channel.
Change the channel. You don't have to do a fucking rant on Twitter about it. It's like, and then it's going to be just like the internet wrestling community is so dog shit, but it does make me laugh sometimes because of how stupid they can be. But yeah, I really liked the Cody match. Rest of it, all right. Definitely not a top tier pay-per-view, but I am excited for the build now with everything going on to Money in the Bank. So let's see what happens there. What are the next?
Then we have Forbidden Door coming. I think
Forbidden Door, I think, is our next big one.
That's the end of this month, I believe.
Yes. So we have Clash of Money in the Bank is in July, so that's like fucking 2-3 weeks from now.
A couple weeks from now, yeah.
And then we have SummerSlam in August.
That's early August too. It's like August 2nd, I believe.
And then Forbidden Door is next week. Next week
Saturday. Yeah, okay. And then I think we have a couple months from now we have all SummerSlam and All In. The show here, which is coming in AEW Dynamite, which is coming here on the 14th. That's going to be like one of the last two pay-per-views last two episodes of Dynamite before All In. So we might get some good story stuff out of this.
So basically, the next few weeks are going to be kind of busy for us for these uploads. And then,
hell yeah, this is a busy summer.
Yeah.
We're about to hit that period of time where it's like every 2 weeks we have a fucking episode coming up.
Oh, wait till they do SummerSlam in 2026 for 2 nights. That's gonna be fun.
Oh god. I do like, at least for the exchange of SummerSlam becoming 2 nights, they are talking about moving Elimination Chamber out of a pay-per-view into just a match stipulation on another card. So it won't be a full Elimination Chamber pay-per-view anymore. So
good with that.
Yeah, I was like, it's a good match stipulation. I don't feel it has to be its own pay-per-view. If you actually take that one out of the rotation, I wouldn't miss it. So,
I wouldn't either. I mean, it's kind of better anyway. It's kind of better when it's just a match stipulation and not necessarily its own pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's a fun match. I love them. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add before we send the viewers off today?
I think that's it.
No, that's it for me.
All right. As we always do here, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can find us on your podcast service. There's a link down to a RSS page that'll take you to where you can listen. It's Spotify, Apple, whatever things you really use. I've also gotten a lot of emails that they're shutting down a lot of services, so please look to see where you want. If you guys are listening on Spotify as a returning listener, we do have video episodes up on the YouTube channel. That link should also be in the description. You guys can see our pretty faces. And
sometimes mine like to blur out.
Yeah, sometimes Decas like to get blurry for a long period of time.
In my
case, I have to move my face to like get it back on.
Yeah, and X has the like AI background going on, so it sometimes clips onto his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all that. We do have social media links also. We have a Facebook page where you can submit requests if you guys have a particular pay-per-view you want us to watch or anything like that. We do also have a Twitter page, because I'm not calling it X. Which
X is right there.
Yes, X is right here. Hi. So I'm not going to call it X. I'm going to call it Twitter.
I'm spooky.
Sometimes that gets updated with stuff as it needs to, but usually it's just links. But again, if you guys have any things you want us to watch, we have gotten a viewer request in the past. If you guys have any like Attitude Era pay-per-views you want us to watch or anything like that, like give us a shout out. We'll consider it. So we love the viewer request. Was a real interesting time capsule to how things used to be to how things are now, and thank God for that. There was a lot to take in on that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But yeah. So as always, I'm Sharky. I'm Dallas. If you guys are just watching on this, I'm just Dallas for here. So we have X and Deca with us, and we will see you guys in a few weeks with the next pay-per-view. And then 2 weeks after that, and then probably 2 weeks after that. So
is our life.
We rolling.
Oh, it's that time of year again, boys. All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Good night.